Good morning, everybody. Not only coming to live, spirit and coffee. Got my coffee here. Yum, yum, yum. Mm, it's so good. Oh my gosh, it's so early. I never thought I'd say it's so early, but it really is so early. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me get this camera fixed a little bit here. Okay, good. All right, so let's get started. You guys know that I am on this new journey. Good morning, Sam. I haven't seen you in a while. And the new journey, good morning for those on Podbean. Um, Good morning, Isaac, coach. I just started working at a club, private club. So I want to call it a private club because it's not a gym, it's a private club. And I'm super excited about sort of understanding the fitness world a little bit better. And I know that eventually I will be kind of understanding the intricacies of perhaps personal training and getting personal training. And of course, going back to coach, who's on here, my nutrition coach. So that's one thing that I do highly encourage people that in your life that you have a coach at every aspect. Good morning, Doreen. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we get to be coached in all aspects of our life, not just life coaching or spiritual coaching or nutrition coaching or physical fitness coaching, but everything. And we don't have to have it all at once, right? But the kind of the domains that we're working on in our personal life. So I would say to really, good morning. I'm Podbean. I don't, your name is Gig? Gig XTK. Okay. Anywho, that if we looked at the domains of our life and we said, okay, here are the domains. And what do I mean by domains? I sort of mean, what is it that we're working on in our life? What are our goals? So we have family, we have education, we have career, we have all of these different health, spirit, whatever it is, okay, these overarching domains that we work within. Now, sometimes those domains in our life are looking really good and working really good. And we're like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I've got my career, it's awesome. Okay, my career's doing really well, but I'm maybe lagging in love or relationship. Or maybe there's something that I want to work on with my health and nutrition that's not so good. Right. And so then you start to look at the domains of your life and say, where do I create something in the domain of my life that's going to work and be sustainable and that I can sort of goals that I can work towards? Well, sometimes we need a coach, right? Or we need somebody to support us into the next step because what we're doing is not working. We know that what we're doing isn't working in that domain. We've tried, we've done everything we can, and now we need sort of professional help. Good morning, Tina. So, what is professional help? Well, I say coaching. I think coaching is a huge underestimated, underutilized resource that we don't tap into. We can see therapists and all these professionals, but the reality is, and what I believe in coaching, is that these are people that have real life experience. So theoretically, we can go to school and work out of theories. And I was thinking about this morning about theories and how we live in theory. Really, the reality is theory isn't reality. It's theory. Now, to apply a theory, to say, how do I put into practice a theory and make it practical for myself? What does that look like? Does it even work? Now, they're saying it's this way, but then when I do it, it just totally comes out distorted, and that's not even, so their theory is not matching the experience. I will say with coaching, and what I love about it is that a coach has been there, done that. They know what works and doesn't work, especially within the theoretical frame, right, that they're working with. So they adjust and tweak the theory into real life experience. So what do I say? Coaching is super critical. I myself get coaches when I don't know, like I get myself to a certain point and then I'm like, okay, there's blind spots. Okay. Good morning, Greasy. Now think about it. It's like for the gym, for instance, like I can get myself to a particular spot and then I plateau. And beyond that, I can't. Why? Because there's certain tricks and tips that I don't know. I only know what I know, but I don't know more than that. And so then I seek guidance, right? So I pull myself to the point of like, all right, I got this. And then when I'm at a plateau and I know that I need to take it a little further, I want to take it a little further. Good morning, Jonathan. Then I say, how do I push this a little further? And say good morning. If I don't say good morning to you, it's because I don't see you. And good morning to the Podbean users. We have Athena. We have CWGKHL. um, but coaching is critical. So I think it's an underutilized tool is the coaching. So get a coach. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to get a personal trainer, okay, which I'm going to call a coach, and a nutrition coach where I'm pretty good with my nutrition. But if I have greater goals that I want to actually live into, then I get a coach. So you guys will see a big, huge transformation. If you're in a business or a company, get a business coach, right? So look at that for your life. If you're looking for a relationship, get a relationship coach. Have somebody support you through the process. Now, the big thing is with coaching is that I don't choose coaches that haven't been there. I want somebody who understands my worldview, understands what I've been through. So when you're looking for a quality coach, right, to support you in your life or in the domain of your life that you're working on, ask questions. Really, I think a coaching and client interaction or relationship should really be synergy, right? It should be like, I get you, I've been there, and that's why you and I are going to work together. Or if you work with somebody who's completely opposite and you know you need someone who's going to be a driver because you're not a driver and you need someone to kind of push you a little bit more, then you look for those qualities. But coaching is critical, and I'm going to get coaching. So I don't tell people, like I coach myself, but I don't take everybody on as a client. I won't take just anybody on as a client. Why? Because there's certain energies that I would be doing harm to. And that to me is not appropriate. This is not coaching, at least for me. I'm not going to say for everybody, is not about a moneymaker for me. I do it because I say, okay, I'm willing to take on this client. Good morning, Nicole. And I'm not willing to take on anybody and everybody, but I will take people on as they need. And I'll do an assessment to see if it's something that works between me and the other person. Now, this is important. So, my what I'm saying today is that you look at the domains of your life. Okay, right now, I'm working on my fitness and nutrition again, and I'm going to elevate that now. Taking on what? Taking on coaching for my fitness, for my physical fitness now, and nutrition as well. If I was looking to build a company, which I am, then I look for coaches or mentors around that particular piece of my life. Okay. So again, the power of coaching is so critical. I think it's underutilized. And I don't preach it without practicing it. I myself have coaches. And let me tell you, they've always supported me in taking my life further than I was able to do on my own. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't put in the work to get as far as I can. So I'll say, how far can I drive this? Good morning, Heather. Before I need to step into coaching. How far can I get into my life in this particular domain of my life before I need support or guidance to take me to the next level, to elevate? So coaching is critical. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I need a how to reorganize and get up at 4:30 in the morning coach because I'm sleepy. I used to be able to get up at 4:30 and be totally okay. But I haven't done that in a while. Now that I'm back at a 9 to 5, I am totally trying to figure out how to do this. Coffee's one, so I have my coffee for sure. This would not be called Bird and Coffee if there wasn't coffee involved. Wouldn't make sense, but I love coffee. And it's the one thing I have left. Don't take it away from me. They've taken away my waffles. No, I've taken away my waffles for my nutrition, right? I know that there's protein waffles and stuff, but you got to detox from that stuff sometimes too. And I'm detoxing at the moment. Okay, let's start reading because it's been a while since I've read. Heather, I think I said good morning. Everybody else on Podbean, who else? Mish. Good morning. Sorry if I say your names wrong. I apologize. Don't beat me up. You can put it into phonetics for me. I think that's what it's called, phonetics. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we were talking on the four agreements. I was reading about the, people. No worries. Oh, thank you. Thank you for okay. Good morning, Henbo and Victoria. Good morning on Podbean. We were talking on the four agreements, and we'll get into the book now, about people like suffering for the same mistake over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now, here's the deal. People shouldn't suffer for the same mistake, but also people should realize and recognize that they get to. They don't have to, but they get to sort of correct the mistakes that they make in their life. If they keep doing it over and over and over and over again, they're going to keep paying for it. And I don't know if the book says that because I don't remember 100% what this book says. It's been a while since I've read it. But we get to take that responsibility of awareness for ourselves. We can't place it upon others. We want others to do good, right? And we want others to step into their best life, hopefully. I mean, it's what I want for people. I'm not saying everybody does. But when we want them to do the best, it's like we can see their blind spots. That's why I was talking about coaching this morning, because it's important. We can see when people are off, right? We can't see when we're off, of course, but we see when others are off, and we want to call it out. We want to support them, not because we want to be mean, but because we want to support them. And sometimes we're not even judging them. We're just saying, hey, look at what you are doing in this moment is actually harming you rather than helping you. But some people are gonna listen. Good morning, Imogen. I get to use I'm gonna be using your beautiful artwork. So if you have any artwork that I can just put a meme on or something, let me know. I'll give you photo credits. But again, we continue to do that. We continue to make people wrong, or we continue to see their blind spots. Now, here's the biggest deal. It's saying, hey, look, good morning, Christian, is saying, how do I become self-aware of the things that are holding me back? Because we can't, you can try and see if it works out for you. Tell people what they're doing wrong with their life and then be attached to it. And why do you want to take on other people's shit? You have enough shit of your own. Please don't tell me you don't have enough shit of your own. We all do. I always tell people it's hard enough for me to take care of myself. How in the world am I going to take care of somebody else? It's hard enough for me to get my practices in order. How am I going to tell others how they should get their practices in order? I will support you in figuring out what your practices are. But it's hard enough for me to be me. I can't be somebody else. So we got to if you looked at it this way, we could kind of laugh about it. And I do laugh about these things, all the time. I'm very lighthearted about stuff like this because it's funny to me. It's like we want to sit there and point fingers, but why? It's because we can see when somebody is kind of off the mark, right? We can see, good morning, Billy, when people we care about, we're like, oh, doesn't look like it's going to end so well. But we can't be attached to it. And this was sort of a conversation that I always had, or we can be attached if you want. It's just, I can guarantee it's not going to work in your favor when you're attached to this stuff. It's just not. It won't, because you have enough of your own shit to take on. So I always say, look at your own stuff, okay? And excuse my language if it bothers you, but look at your own stuff, okay? Look at the things around you in this moment and say, what do I get to clean up in my life? What is it that I have done that I make myself wrong for it over and over, but I can forgive myself and I know that I'm not that person. And so I can start to forgive myself. I can start to say, you know what? I made this mistake, but I know it's not me. I'm self aware, and then move on. Because otherwise, you're going to keep yourself tangled up, right? Beating yourself up over things that are unnecessary to beat yourself up over because you already know you got the lesson. You're ready. You're ready to move on. So why are you staying stuck? Okay. And the same for others. Others change. Now, if they continue not to change, it's up to you if you want to continue to be around these people or not. That's totally your choice. You can totally walk away. You don't have to be there. Unless, let's say, by force, which happens to some people, you're forced to be there. And I mean by like harm, right? Like these kids and people that are coerced and stuff like that. But the reality is, most people are self aware. Hi, Dina. Glad you're new here. Were you from Podbean? I might have some Podbean viewers that come on here. We need to trust that they have what it takes to solve their own problems. Otherwise, we're basically saying we don't trust they do if we involve ourselves. Yes. And we do get involved. I mean, it's okay to give feedback, I believe, right? That it's okay to give feedback, but you're absolutely right. That mentality, Imogen, of people saying, poor them, they can't do it. What you're saying, really what you're saying when you do this to people is, guess what? You're not strong. You don't have what it takes. You're weak. Poor you. See, we don't see it from that perspective, but if we did, and I was having this conversation with my niece the other day, and she felt like, oh, I need to protect this person, and I said, well, why do you feel like they need protecting? Good morning, Sally. And why do you think they need protecting? Are you trying to say that they're less than, that they don't actually have um, that they don't have what it takes to actually get through this? The reality is people are strong, and when we put the power back in their hands, they're able to get through the darkest times. It's like leading a horse to water. You can lead them there, but you can't make them drink. And if they don't drink, it's really, I'm just going to say, it's not your problem. And you can make it your problem, but then ask yourself, how is that serving you? Is it serving you to make it your problem? You already have enough problems of your own. Do you want to take on somebody else's problems? If you do, that's cool. Again, this platform is not designed to make people right, wrong, good or bad. It's just to recognize the choices we make and understand that sometimes the choices we make aren't serving us in our higher purpose. And that's what this is to do, lead you to your higher purpose. Have I ever thought about marketing myself? I don't know exactly how you mean, Hussam, in terms of marketing myself. I think we've had this discussion before. I basically give the information for people that are supposed to hear it. It's an organic, it's God in motion. Yeah, that's how I do it. Whoever's meant to hear will hear. Whoever's not, they won't. And that's okay. Okay, so let's see. Mish said, Podbean newbie here too. And yes, it's okay to give feedback, yet let go of expecting what the results are to become. Exactly. And thank you for chiming in on Podbean. I like when people leave comments. I will read them out loud live. And I will sort of give a idea of what it is that I believe you're saying. And if I'm off, it's okay. You can just tell me. I'm not attached to your perspectives, because the reality is, my question is, your perspective serving you and your higher purpose? And if it is, awesome, continue. If it's not, then I'm going to say, where is it holding you back? What is it holding you back? And how are you holding yourself back by your belief system or perspective, right? And if you're like, I'm okay with being held back, cool. It's the self-awareness, right? And us understanding that sometimes, like I had to ask my niece that question, is the stuff that you're taking on, is it yours or is it that other person's, and you're absorbing that? Because sometimes we take on other people's energy without even realizing it. And then we make it our problem. You could do that, but it's a lot, that's a lot of energy, man. I'm telling you, I myself am enough. I'm like, I can't take on somebody else's stuff. I can better take on my stuff. I'm trying to learn how to take on my stuff. How am I going to take on your stuff? Your niece has compassion. She so does. Okay, let's see what this song one said. There will be people who stand outside of the game, the great illusion, the great Maya, and do not identify themselves with a class, with a name, with an ego, with a persona, with a role. On the other hand, we have people who are too involved. Yes, exactly. And it's recognizing, thank you, Jonathan, for that comment. It's a beautiful comment. I think it's people recognizing, right, that there is a game happening and that you can participate at any level. Now, is there anything wrong with participating in the game? No, no. I participate. We're almost forced into participation. We wouldn't be here. We can see the illusion for what it is, but we also get to participate in it if we choose to. But here's the deal. We have a choice of how we engage that illusion. That's the power. Growing your YouTube presence and creating a blog website to share your thoughts with more people. Yes, Hassan, that is on the rise. Thank you for asking the question. For a young person, that is rare. Yes, it is rare for my niece. She is, I've sort of been the one to support her. And I told her, well, welcome to the Weirdo Club because now you're like me. Good luck. Good morning, Athena. Just don't be too involved. Yeah, and the too involved, I think they could be too involved. So here's the deal, Jonathan. At least for this platform, they can if they want to be. That's up to them. That's what I'm saying in this platform. If they want to be too involved, not my. The reality is, it's a choice. I can't tell you how to be or how to engage the game, but I can give you tools and I can say what's going to support you. And I like that my auntie Christine had said one time on the platform, that people are busy building the treasures on earth instead of in heaven. And really what that means is the light of heart, right? To be light of heart, to know that this is an illusion. And that, yeah, we can have nice things on this planet and we can do nice things. But the reality is how do you feel internally? Because our internal universe is critical. We forget about it. We're constantly using our senses to sort of persuade how successful we are in life or how great life is for us, rather than saying, how do I feel internally? Do I have the tools? Am I building up my life and my heart and my internal organs? And do I feel great? Or am I working my ass off? I feel terrible, but I have all these nice things. For what? To me, and this is me, my vessel, my body are my riches. Because without it, I am not able to do the things that I get to do, like wake up and do spirit and coffee, or go to this new job that I'm trying out, right? I'm trying it on. We're going to see. I'm going to be like a monk. I told a friend I'm going to be like the monk who just goes to work and learns this craft and tries to master the craft. We shall see how I engage in it and if I master it. And you guys will know if I do or don't. If I don't, I'm not attached. But you can master nearly anything with consistency and persistence and diligence and constant working on it all the time. It's just, that's what it takes. But it's drive yourself into something that you enjoy doing, right? So that it adds energy to you, so that it so that it ignites you inside it. It's like, yes, or don't. And then ask yourself, like, am I depleted or do I have energy at the end of the day? And it's the biggest questions, right? Is this adding value to my life or taking value from my life? How is this adding value to my life? And is there a middle? Is there a balance between it? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read a little bit because I said I was, and then I just continue talking. Okay, in the dream of the planet, no, in the dream of the planet, it is normal for humans to suffer, to live in fear, to create emotional dramas. The outside dream is not a pleasant dream. It is a dream of violence, a dream of fear, a dream of war, a dream of injustice. The personal dream of humans will vary, but globally is mostly a nightmare. If we look at human society, we see a place so difficult to live in because it's just ruled by fear. Throughout the world, we see human suffering, anger, revenge, addictions, violence in the street, and tremendous injustice. It may exist at different levels in different countries around the world, but fear is controlling the outside dream. Okay, and this is why we start to see violence. It's really fear, and a lot of the fears around there's not enough or control. Okay, I'm going to control others so I can have more. Others say there's not enough, so I need to control this. The reality is there's enough. There's enough. I guarantee you there's enough. So people say, well, what about food? What about this? Well, when I was out with my friend and we were traveling across the country, the United States, and then I went to this mucusless healing system where they eat nothing but plants. Good morning, Katrina. My friend showed me rubbish. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but on the side of the road, good morning, Gabriel, was showing me how you can eat the plants on the side of the road. He's like, you can eat so much. It's abundant. Like there's abundance of food. People act like there's not, and it just naturally grows, right? Because if we saw that life is a fractal and it's just a pattern repeating itself, um, we have been given everything we need to survive here, and it grows naturally. God has placed the good things on the other side of fear. Yay, I like that saying. Hey, Jonathan, can I use that saying? I'll give you some kudos, unless you have a website, but I would love to start. I'm making a bunch of like sayings with my spirit and coffee. And have a great morning too. I'm glad you love this, Jonathan. And if I could use that, God has placed the good things on the other side of fear. I really like that, and I'd like to use that if you let me. Okay, cool. Thank you. We can co-participate in Spirit and Coffee, by the way. Oh, it's Will Smith. Okay, so you're recording Will Smith, so then I'll just give Will Smith the credit. Or I'll change it up a little bit so that it's not 100% his. And of course, he probably got that from somebody else because there's nothing new under the sun, which is kind of funny when they say, don't plagiarize, because the reality is everything that's ever been said has been said already, if that makes sense. Anyway, me going on a tangent. Okay. Which I could go in 50 different directions all the time. So, yes, looking at the fear, understanding the fear, understanding that we live within. Good morning, Emmy. Good morning. There is so much unbought food from supermarkets. We have an abundance. Even there, it gets, yes, and we throw away food all over the place, right? And so there should never be someone hungry. Um, that to me is just, it's ludicrous. There's no way people should go hungry. But why have we created this? It's control. It's control. There's enough for everybody, right? If the supermarkets throw away all this food, come on, let's be realistic. Can we give it to people who are hungry? Of course. You know, even the people who choose not to live in society norms will go through the trash can and find food. Now that's not a good, I don't, to me it's like I want people to eat healthy hot meals or cold meals or whatever during whatever season, or fresh food or whatnot. But there's people throw away so much food. I've seen people, right? I've seen homeless go through trash and stuff like that. I've seen it. So the food itself grows off the side of the road. Why? Because there's an abundance, because there is a fractal pattern that repeats itself over and over and over again. And it doesn't stop, and it's not going to. It's not like one day, well, it could, I guess, it could all just stop. But even when we, let's say humans disappear, let's say the humans the entire human race disappears. Okay, let's just say that that happens. Then the buildings themselves will start to grow organically, the moss and whatever it is, the decay, and everything will start to grow on it, grow within it. And that we see that these materials, and then it just starts to grow naturally. Plant, vegetation. Now, some of this we can eat. Like my friend off the side of the road, I mean, it's just amazing. He could make a salad on plants that he gets off the side of the road. So there's abundance. There's enough, but they've put the fear in us that there's not enough. And so everybody's freaking out that we don't have enough. And there is. Now, really, the scarcity of not enoughness is for our own survival at the end of the day. Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever you call her, is abundant and constantly giving. So give back to the earth. That's sort of what we were talking about on my special guest edition, is giving back in some way. How do you give back, right? Thanks is a big, having gratitude, bowing before the earth and the sand, putting sand in your hand and saying thank you, smelling the roses and gently touching a rose, watching the butterflies, fly by, watching the birds and being grateful for that, taking in a deep breath. Hopefully the air is not totally polluted, but taking in a deep breath and thanking the air, right? Those little things are ways of giving back. You can also plant a tree. You can also start a garden. There's little ways, big ways, whatever ways, but as long as we have gratitude for the abundance that's here, then that's good enough. Why? Because once we start having gratitude, we start stepping into, well, what does that gratitude really look like? If I continue to have gratitude, you're going to want to give back in a different way somehow. I mean, this is very popular to wake up and do your gratitude journal. That's something that's been floating around. I've been hearing it quite a bit. So I'm assuming that there was a book or something that talked about people doing gratitudes in the morning. Write your 10 things you're grateful for every morning. I've had a friend who's been doing it for years. She's called The Grateful, and she calls herself The Grateful because she says gratitude prayers every morning. So it's really up to you how you want to engage it. But giving back and knowing that there's enough, and there is enough. There's enough love. There's enough food. We have enough. We are abundant. I think I lost my Oh, here it is. Okay, if we compare the dream of human society with the description of how that religions all around the world have promulgated, we find that they're exactly the same. Religions say that hell is a place of punishment, a place of fear, pain, and suffering, a place where the fire is burning. Fire is generated by emotion that come from fear. Whenever we feel the emotions of anger, jealousy, envy, or hate, we experience the fire burning within us. We are living a dream of hell. Well, that sounds kind of scary. But we are. This life isn't easy, you guys. It's not an easy life. I don't know. Everybody suffers. Everybody goes through the suffering. Nobody escapes it. Nobody's is bigger than the other person's. It's not a competition about who has more anger, fear, or the worst life, right? This is not a competition. I've seen people do this. They compete about whose life is worse. The reality is we all suffer, period. Now, it's important to recognize this. Is there beauty in the suffering? Yes. Here is the biggest, and I'm going to give you the biggest way to transform your life. This is the big ticket, the big key, the big hopefully for you. We're not supposed to pretend it doesn't exist. We're not supposed to pretend it's not there. We're not supposed to try to sweep it under and act as if it's not there. It's not, no. We get to utilize it to be our greatest power. And so people are like, what? Yeah. I've said this over and over in Spirit and Coffee for years now. It is our greatest power. We, as spiritual alchemists, especially me as a spiritual alchemist, people say, what does that mean? That means that I don't deny anything. I use everything. The anger, the frustration, the pain, the suffering. It is the greatest power when you learn how to utilize it the correct way. There is a way out of suffering, right? And that is what Buddha said, right? Buddha came up with that. There's a way out of suffering. And in the Christian faith, God relieved the suffering, but the reality is we still have suffering. We still go through shit. But what they were saying is there's a way out of the shit. That's me putting it in 20th century context. There is shit you will go through, and there's a way out of the shit that you're going through. And there you go. That's Buddha today. There is suffering, and there's a way out. Now, most people, will they find their way out? No. That's the harsh truth in reality. Why? Because it's not a secret pill that you take. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of work. It takes commitment. It takes practice, practice, practice. That's why I said I'm like the Buddhist monk. I'm going to practice and practice and practice and practice. This book is called A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom. It's not called Take a Magic Pill to Personal Freedom. It's not, it's going to happen overnight to freedom. That's not how this works. Although people want it to work that way. And there are so many memes out there, and people think, oh, their life must be easy. It's not easy. Okay. When you see people that their life looks like it's put together, it is not put together. They suffered. They suffered to be put together. Maybe they have it together now, but they went through so much suffering that they understand what put together looks like. I don't have it put together. People look at me and say, like, you got your shit together. I'm like, no, really, I don't. I'm constantly going through the fire and learning. I'm constantly going through the suffering and the pain and learning. What is the difference between the beginner and the master? Really, there is no difference because the master always knows that they're one step away from being the fool. And you guys would understand it if you dived into spiritual alchemy, okay? But the master is practiced. That's it. It's that simple. The master will never call herself a master. Okay. They're never going to say it. You don't even know who masters are sometimes in the world. You wouldn't even know. They're not going to go out and publicize, hey, I'm a master, because then they wouldn't be. But I can tell you what the difference is. The difference in mastery and a beginner is someone practiced. That's it. And they just put all their time and energy into it. And it wasn't an overnight success. And there was probably a lot of pain and suffering in it. But they finally became so efficient at their craft that they look like a master. They can do it so efficiently because they've done it over and over, and they tweaked it just a little this way, that way, this way, this way, and they found the perfect system for them. The perfect system for them, not for the world. Everybody's going to have their own practices, but for them, okay? My belief is that we're a part of life. It's up to each individual to handle it. What they want in life is just hard. Yeah. Life is hard. It's not easy. And everybody has shit. Right, Mom? Yes, that's for sure. That's what she says. Oh, everybody has shit. Ugh. Sometimes it's too much shit. I'm like, I don't want it. Take it. I'm just kidding. But we have a practical guide to support us through it. Now, there's a lot of practical guides, right? The Four Agreements is one practical guide. We have Buddhism's a practical guide. right? We even have in the Bible, there's practical guides to support us, right? There's practical guides everywhere. You've got to find the one that supports you, or don't, but find the one that supports you. I don't have your guide for you. I can support you into finding out what your guide is, but I cannot give it to you. There is not some secret elixir that works for everybody. And that's why I don't follow everybody, right? Because they'll be like, well, do you have, I had a person ask me if I have a spiritual teacher, and I said, well, I guess I have many. But I was like, no. I mean, I follow God. What does that mean for me? I know what that means for me, but will that work for you? Well, I certainly believe it will. But how you follow God and your understanding of God is going to be very different from mine, because you have different eyeballs, you have different taste buds, you have different hearing, you're seeing the world from a different perspective. Maybe you don't even live in the same place I live, or maybe you've traveled to different places than I have. It's all different. It's not going to be the same. However, and this is what everybody's trying to say, is that there is a way out, and it's through your own self, your own personal practices. So you got to figure out who the heck you are, understand what practices work for you, not for everybody else, for you, and then do them like there is no tomorrow. Can do your practices every day. And if you fall off, get right back on them. And if you wait, you got to be honest with yourself. I don't journal very often. I'm not a person who journals. They try to tell me to do the practice of journaling, and I tried, and guess what? It didn't work for me. It does when I want to, but am I going to be forced into journaling because someone thinks it's best for me? It's not best for me, or I'd be doing it. Do what's best for you. If you love to write, then go write. If somebody's telling you, oh, you should read, so I ask people, do you read? Because I'm a reader. That's a practice I love. I made a post on this morning. Oh, yay, Doreen, see, we all think the same. So I like to read, so I ask people, do you read? It's not a judgment. I don't really care if you read or don't read. The reality is there's audiobooks. Some people can do audiobooks. Cool, do an audiobook. I don't. I'm just asking if you read, because there's some great information that you can teach yourself in books, okay? But if you're not a reader, are you a listener? Could you listen to an audiobook, or do you listen to audiobooks? What is it for you? Okay? And then you take that practice on. Good morning, Adan. Like for Adan, since you're on here, I know that you practice carving, woodwork. You're a crafter, you're an artist, and I know that you do carvings, and so part of that is you didn't learn it overnight, you practiced it. But something that you love. I crochet sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Something that I do daily is Spirit and Coffee, Monday through Friday. Not daily, but Monday through Friday. Do I read every single day? No. Do I work out every single day? No. But I know what practices work for me. So if I'm feeling a certain way, like I'm feeling like I'm disconnected to my essence, and so I'll read, I'll meditate, I'll do those things because I feel disconnected. Or when I feel like I'm not connecting in or don't have that companionship, I'll do what? I'll spend time with my family, right? Or I'll connect with a friend over coffee. Those are practices that I put in place. They're each intentional practices. Everyone is different with different beliefs, and they look, yes, at what is going on in the world differently. Absolutely. And everybody's going to have different practices. That's it, period. Again, a practical guide to personal freedom. That's the name of the book. A Toltec for the Four Agreements. Practical, meaning practice. You can't just talk about it. You got to practice it, okay? And I practice every single day, almost to like, I don't know, we could ask my mom, am I crazy with my practices? Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm a little too much over crazy with my practices, to the point of drill sergeant. I need to just kind of step away a little bit, Natalie. You're overdoing it. Okay. So find out what practices work for you. And if you're seeing somebody like, I don't know, professional, and they're giving you advice that ain't working for you, maybe you ought to question yourself about who you're seeing, and say what's going to work for me. Now, I'm not saying to stay comfortable. This is another thing I know because it goes crazy. I'm not saying to stay comfortable. Life isn't comfortable. And as we continue to stay comfortable, we become idle. But then there's this uncomfortable part of us, but we're comfortable, but we're uncomfortable. That makes sense. And we're afraid to make a change, knowing that we need one because there's comfort. That's different. That's when you get to have faith and practice makes perfect. Exactly. And then you get to devour everything. And that's what I do. I devour my life over and over again and recreate it over and over because that's what we are. We can co-create. That's what we're here to do. Like patterns repeat themselves, but then they kind of morph and change over time. And if we're a pattern, we can morph and change ourselves. People in this day and age change careers more than they did in the past because they're morphing, they're getting real with themselves about what truly ignites their inner passions. And so that's for you is you get to look at that. What really truly ignites my inner passions? How do I morph into that? How do I shift and change? But if you're holding on to the old, you're never going to morph into the new. It's just not going to happen. You're just going to really, what you're doing is you're holding on to a pattern that no longer fits into the lock. It's like the key no longer fits. The locks have been changed and you don't want to change the key and you're still trying to get in the door and you're like don't want to change the key, so you gotta like change the key, mold yourself so you can open the next door. That means having faith. That means like letting go of stuff. That means like saying I'm gonna open this door, shut that door because that door no longer serves me. It's like finding the right door to go through, like Alice in Wonderland, right? She has all these doors to choose from. She has to get the key. She has to get big. She has to get small. But then she finally goes through the door. Then she's like, why did I walk through this door? And she's on a journey. And she comes across interesting characters. And if we saw our life is pretty much like that. We go through these doors. Sometimes we don't know what's behind them. And we end up with the queen of what? Hearts. Really, she's the queen of swords, though. The queen of hearts who chops everybody's head off. Right. But then we also have people who guide us along the way, right? Like Epsilon asking us who we are, trying to figure out who we are, all those things. Like Alice in Wonderland's a great story to kind of understand the process that we end up in this dream crazy world. And we're like, how the hell did we wake up from this craziness? Remember who you are. It was in Alice in Wonderland. Who are you? Who are you? Okay. So I hope this helps for a Tuesday morning. I will be getting on early in the morning, as you guys know. For those of you on Podbean, always welcome to follow me live on Facebook. The 30th, I have a workshop coming up. I would love to see you. Good morning, JD. I would love to see you guys show up to the workshop. Okay. Good morning, Apu. And then some new stuff coming out. Life itself is like a roller coaster. There are lots of twists and turns, ups and downs. Yeah, life is a roller coaster. Good morning, Rick. Life is completely a roller coaster. Oh my gosh. It's like crazy and it doesn't stop. I'm like, I thought roller coasters were only 20 seconds. Good morning, Zen. And they keep going on forever. I'm like, how is this roller coaster still going? Because the last one I was on was like short. Bye, Mama. So Mama's gonna say goodbye. Say hi to everybody. Bye. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. That's the little mama. See ya. We won't be ya. Good morning, bestie. I haven't seen my bestie on here in a while. Oof. And we're just having fun on Spirit and Coffee today. We'll be laughing. I've cried on here, you guys. Those on Podbean who are listening, I've cried on my live videos. I've done everything. I'm so real. Everybody knows everything about me. And you know what? It's good. You know why? Because this is real life. They talk about reality TV. That is not reality TV. Have a lovely day, Natalie's mom. Thanks, Imogen. Reality TV is because in reality TV, they sort of show, they show the drama kind of, but, it's like life is woof, woof, right? Life is just like woof. And it's cold outside, and then we got to put on the jacket, and then we got to pee, then we got to poop, and then we got to eat, and then it's so hard being human. Oh my God, it's high maintenance, right? Like they say, oh, she's high maintenance, he's high maintenance. No, the reality is our bodies itself are so needy and very high maintenance, and sometimes it's hard to keep up. And I wish I could just be in my pajamas all day, just like I don't know. I just go to the store in pajamas. Like, why did I gotta do my hair? Why did I gotta do all this? I don't have to, but of course I want to be presentable. But it is hard being a human, okay? Period. End of story. There is suffering, right? And those are like your first world problems. Doesn't matter. It's a lot. It drives you nuts after a while. You're just like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Okay, that is a first world problem. But I've had other huge major problems in my life besides that, right? And let me just tell you that months ago I was sleeping on a couch. But who cares? I don't. Have fun. Why don't you just look at life like this? Or don't. It's up to you. This is how I look at life. I laugh at it. Period. I've ended up in some situations and I just laugh. I'm like, how'd I end up here? And they're like, God, you have a sense of humor. God, this is funny. Most people would be dying, devastated, and me, I'm laughing. There's nowhere else to go. And Katie Byron Katie. If you ever read her story, she does the great work, and you guys can do her workbook. She actually has free workbooks online. But she does talk about her story of when she actually finally hit rock bottom, and all that was left to do was laugh. That's all that was left was laugh. Good morning, Selena. That was it. That's all that was left was laughter. There was nothing out, nowhere else she could go. I mean, people will say you're delusional or you've gone mad or crazy, and it's like, okay, all the good people are, right? Alice in Wonderland. But if you take life so serious, sometimes laughter is the only way out. I promise you. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Corey. Corey, how is your stuff going, Corey? I'd like to know. Okay, so there you have it, you guys. Also, I am working now as good morning, Brent. I am working at Sports and Wellness. I would love for you guys to reach out to me via IM if you are interested in getting your fitness game on. I would love to meet with you. I would love to talk about your health goals and see if, well, even if you didn't join the club, I'd love for you to join the club, of course, but are you taking on your health goals and are you actually meeting your health goals? And absolutely love the place that I am now working. So we will see how it goes. I just know it's a health industry and I am into my health and nutrition. So there you have it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you guys go. And I will be, of course, on here tomorrow. I'm going to have my niece as a special guest on the weekend. And then next week, I'm going to have my friend Lisa come on as a special guest. And she is a life coach. She's coached me a couple of times. She's a life coach. She's also just a great friend and sort of one of these people who gets me. And we get each other, and you need those people in your life. So I think it's going to be really good to be able to have that connection of conversation. And she brings a whole different perspective, right, on the work that I do. She does this work, same work I do, but she has a different way of looking at it, and her life circumstances are different than mine, right? She has a husband, and who she's good with relationships apparently, because she's in one, rather than me, who's struggled my whole life trying to even figure out what that means. Which is funny. I laugh. See, there you go, laughing about life. Good luck with the new job. Sounds like a great fit for you. Have a great day. Good. Thanks, Imogen. I'll be using your image soon too. Um, so that's going to be happening. Okay. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining. I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. I'll try to do some more readings if I don't have a whole lot to discuss. But usually I have a lot to say, obviously. I say the same things purposely. So I'm like in hopes that it like gets ingrained in the brain. So my dad used to always tell me, Perco, you have a thick skull. And so I'm going to tell you and drill it in your head until you get it. And then I was like, oh, well, that's okay. And it was good. It was good stuff. So I'm glad it was like kind of put in my head. Okay. Awesome. So I love you guys. Have a good day. Get your coffee on. That's what I'm doing. Mm, I love my coffee. Cinnamon, cardamom. And allow yourself to connect. If you guys are in the United States doing Thanksgiving with your family, allow yourself to truly connect in. I'm going to actually be working on Thanksgiving, and I won't be probably till after like 3 o'clock, but it's okay. I'll be with my family eventually. Okay. Okay. So, I have something in my nose. Oh, okay. So spend the time with your family for the holidays. If and even if you're not doing Thanksgiving because you're not in the United States, spend time with your family. Okay. There you go. So love you guys. See you soon. Bye bye.